Want to beat your mates at fantasy football? I've got a little secret for you.
Fantasy Football Hub offers AI team ratings to enhance your team, AI recommended transfers to ensure you make the right decisions, and a new AI assistant chatbot, all designed to help you win your FPL mini league. Upload a screenshot of your FPL team for an instant free AI team rating. And if you sign up and don't win your mini league, we'll even refund your membership. Terms apply. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Green Arrow FPL podcast from Fantasy Football Hub as the dust settles from Game Week 1 and we look ahead to Game Week 2. My name is Fergi, and I am here, as usual, with Rich Clarke. Rich, how are you? And what colour was your arrow in Game Week 1?
I'm well, mate. It's good to be back. I think the game starts here, really, doesn't it? After we've got a week of data, a week of information, and we finally get our first ranks. So I think unless I had the best rank, it'll have to be a red arrow, wouldn't it?
It will, unless you were number one
first.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's a reasonable start. I don't think it's spectacular, but I'm reasonably happy with it. I was just sort of contemplating on the way back from London. I was in London today, and three things I'm happy about with my team. Not sure if you've got my team on screen, but happy with Trent as a pick, happy with Diogo Jota as a pick, happy with Saka as a pick. Those are the things I'm really happy about. Three things I'm concerned but not overly worried about. Christopher Nkunku. Might get some news on him this evening. Pedro Porro, obviously, just hope he's okay, because he's a good pick, but he's an injury.
Well, I don't know if you've seen the update this afternoon on him. You may not if you've been on the train. Apparently, he was in training today.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, that's right. Really that's one thing I can cross off with my concerns. And then, obviously, I am a Barco owner. So, caught up in the pre-hype from certain Brighton fans out there who were bigging him up as being a dead cert to play. And so I got caught out by that one. But he's just the 4 million guy. So plenty of time to deal with him. So a few concerns, but generally I'm happy. The score is okay. 66 points in the first week. I think that's
decent.
Quite a few above the average. It's decent.
Solid, isn't it? Solid is the word for it.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a solid start, and so I'm happy. How did you get on, buddy?
65, one less than you. Our teams ended up being very similar towards you. I did want to ask you, Rich. You were still tinkering around, weren't you, at 6:20 p.m. on Friday? Because your team looked very different from this when we were chatting in the afternoon. And it's ended up, you've made 2 or 3 moves that's left us very, very close. What were the ones that you were sort of contemplating?
Well, I think, as you last week, we podded with Jonas, and he was very big on the Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, he was, absolutely. And he was so unlucky, Bruno, wasn't he? My goodness me.
Exactly. And so I got drawn into building a team with him in it. So I had him in there, and I had Smith Rowe in there to have the cheaper option. And I was looking at João Pedro up front as well. And in the end, as those three, I ended swapping back out at 6:27, I think it was, for Jota, Muniz, and Nkunku. So very template picks, those three. But I just went back. In fact, it was Adam, our previous sort of co-host, who we were sort of swapping teams on WhatsApp, and Adam said, "What are you doing, Rich? Why don't you? What are you doing? Why are you doing, Rich? Exactly. What are you doing, mate? You must be mad." And so I just, I thought, actually, you're sensible. I want Jota. Go with your gut. Get rid of Bruno. Go back to Jota. Put Muniz back. But again, because it's sort of, I think in the past I've overplayed Game Week 1, and I wanted Solanke like you, but couldn't fit him in. 6 million was much more affordable, and I just went for the more balanced structure. I think the biggest regret, I think so far, the biggest worry for me is just Chelsea are a mess, from an FPL perspective. Jury's out on whether they'll eventually come good, but the way they're treating their players isn't good. They have too many players. No one knows who's going to play even tonight, and so I do regret the Nkunku move, but there really wasn't anyone else around his price point to go for. So he'll be my main concern going through tonight and the press conferences. But I'll give him another start. And we'll see how we go. But on the whole, I'm really happy. I enjoyed the football last week. It was
so
good
great
fun.
to have it back. Even amazing.
Yeah,
and it was quite a templatey week. The premium defenders all kept clean sheets. The premium sort of players, the forwards and midfielders, I think all returned apart from Son. Well, I say all returned. Salah, Saka, Haaland, the big three, all returned. Son and Palmer didn't think much of Palmer, but obviously they were playing Man City, and we'll get to see this weekend. Obviously, how they'll play moving forward. But I think we learned a lot. The one I was most gutted about was Eze. He was so unfortunate. What an incredible free kick, and he had seven. I think it was 7 shots. Rich. He was just.
He looks great.
He looks on it, doesn't he? And he's on penalties as well. He looks.
The fact that he scored that goal that was wiped out, and it VAR couldn't even review it, could they? And then they just ran up the other end and scored. It was
and wiped out the Henderson clean sheet.
Yeah, exactly.
We went from classic a goal FPL and a clean sheet to nothing. Unbelievable.
Classic FPL.
Yeah,
there you go.
I think the only difference, actually, looking at it now, our team is I've got Gordon, you've got Nkunku. I think. Yeah. That can't be right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe
probably.
Maybe a 4 million, but overall happy. I started Barco. I actually started him this week, off the back of all the solid advice which we got, all the promises. Yeah. And as we speak now, a week later, he's playing in Spain. You just can't. You can't make it up.
I think unless I think it's possibly a chance that he'll drop before they lock him in, but they should lock that price in if he goes out on loan. Some of the content I've been watching has suggested that his price will be locked now, so that will mean you can just beach him as third bench until the wild card and deal with it then. Exactly. Don't think it's worth a transfer.
No,
not until you've got some flexibility anyway.
Agree. Welcome everyone in the chat. Great to have you all back. Robert Lutus, 100 points this game week. No chips used. Not a bad start. Well played. Frederick is in. How much should we be thinking about team value? Kwanzaa owner. We'll talk about Kwanzaa now. He's obviously dropped in price, 4.4. I just think all this drop-in is just so overhyped and overplayed. Appreciate his price point is difficult, and obviously now, if you spent all your money, you can't get a like for like. But if you've got a Harwood, Bellis, or whatever, they're home to Forest this week. I just wouldn't. I think it's team dependent, but I wouldn't panic about it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. 0.1 of a season does not matter. Johnny A is in. Ron is in from San Francisco. Carl, 75 points. But a non-Haaland owner will be hiding behind a big sofa this week. We'll be chatting about that a bit later. This week is essentially all about Erling Haaland, sort of one way or another, all the way from not owning him, all the way to the potential for triple captaining him. So we'll be talking about that in a bit. Ross Johnson is in. Great to have you in, Ross. John Animations is in. Brian Iso Magic, Steve Thayer, C Tobes, Todd Kirschke, FPL Sparta, and so many more. Thank you all so much for joining us today. The AI team, Rich, we showed last week. Do you remember the AI team? The Hardenless AI team?
The AI, I have to say, as someone who's, maybe been a little bit slow to catch on with the AI in terms of my appreciation. What I noticed was it was absolutely bang on with the forecast on what our teams would score. So my team was forecast to score 65 or 66.2 points, ended up with 66 points. You've ended up with 65 points. It's right on in terms of what it's actually estimating. And as for the actual AI recommended team, I think it got 90, didn't it?
91 points. At one point, it was up in the top 10. And it's currently resting at 34k. Unbelievable. Doesn't have Haaland, so obviously that it could. Well, that
kicking,
but it could go one way or the other, right? It could go further away from us, or we could catch up with it. But we will see. Just a quick violin moment. It's not. I haven't got the violin actually on at the moment, but just a quick violin moment. Lactose the Intolerant on Twitter. He said, "Surely I'm in with a violin moment this week." I played his bench boost, and on his bench, I haven't actually got the thing to pull it up, but on his bench boost, I think he scored 4 4 points, which is pretty impressive. And not only that, worst part is he now built it, not having to wildcard in game week 2. He said I was so annoyed I pulled the trigger. So he's wildcarded. So he's got
half his chips gone in the first 2 weeks.
Two chips down for 5 points, he says. So lactose the intolerant. You need to show more tolerance. But yeah, good. Not the best. Not the best start there. Just before we start, if you want to have your FPL team rated for free and want weekly transfer recommendations driven by AI, click the top link in the description below. Go to Fantasy Football Hub to get your team rated instantly by uploading a screenshot of your team. We'll be showing our current teams and recommended transfers later that the AI spits out. And if you do join, we're so confident in our tools and AI, we're offering win your FPL mini league or your money back. 50% off still, just for the time being. There's never been a better time to join us at the Hub. So in terms of takeaways from the weekend, Rich, what's your overarching thoughts on the takeaways in terms of, what we thought might happen, what we didn't think would happen, which did happen, for example, and where's your head at going to game week 2?
I think it was a predictable week overall. Just speaking very high level, the good teams came out of the traps pretty strongly.
Yeah.
City, Arsenal, Liverpool, they all won. They all found a way to win. Some of the teams that are just below them, also won, but less convincingly so. So United, Newcastle, Villa, they've all managed to scrape a win despite setbacks of their own. So we had, I think, that Newcastle game where most of us, or certainly most of the community, went Isak on the captaincy. That game was really, the stats relating to that game and how Newcastle might have performed, we'll never know because of the sending off. So, I don't think there's any need to worry about Newcastle assets because they probably won't have a person sent off this week. So let's give them another go. Southampton were putting up quite a good performance until the red card, and certainly look okay. But generally speaking, I think it was a sort of fairly predictable week, which is why I think the average score is so high. I think the average score is about 57 or something. So it's pretty high for an average. I'm not sure. We often see much lower scores in game week 2 because people have a tendency to focus on the immediate games in front of them when they play, and they're not as well set up for game week 2. But let's see. I think those who planned for at least 3 or 4 fixtures should go well this week. I'm really happy with my team for this week.
Yeah, I agree. FPL Swartz has put in the chat, Saints well on top before the red card. I don't know if you saw the stats. I think it was second half or after the red card, but Southampton completely dominant. They had 84% possession against Newcastle. Newcastle didn't have any shots, any kind of hardly any touches in the box, all this sort of thing. So Southampton played really, really well. I'm quite happy actually to hold on to Arwood Bellis, just as that 4 million player. Just because if you ever need him, I think they looked all right. And the other one who stuck out for me, regardless of his play acting, Brereton Diaz was everywhere and looked really dangerous. Well, I think KBI was recommended him last week as a potential good player, 5.5 midfielder. He looked good, didn't he? I think he was, again. The kind of red card skews things, but it looked good. I thought Liverpool, I wouldn't say surprised me under Slot, but I think it confirmed maybe not what I thought, maybe what a lot of people thought was they would continue playing in a similar vein, and the right players, Salah obviously would continue to really, really dangerous. So I maybe got that a touch wrong. I maybe underestimated them. They're also on screen now. Total expected goals for game week 1. Liverpool 2.7. They were right up there. In the top 2 or 3 all last season as expected, and it looks like they're going to score a lot of goals. I think one we got right was Jota. I think that was a bit of, I wouldn't say a massively risky, but and it looked like he would play, but he played. He got the number 9 role. Looked good. Should have scored moments before he did off the Trent assist as well.
Yeah, that was a great
Glad he's
choice.
got his goal. He's going to share minutes with Gakpo and probably Nunez. We know that, but at the moment, 7.5. Pretty happy with that.
Oh yeah, I think
Really
he'll
nice.
go up tomorrow or tonight, and I think yeah, he's a great. If you haven't got Haaland and you haven't got Salah, there are a few teams out there. He's a captaincy shout for the weekend against Brentford. He'll definitely start. I always thought we might get 2 or 3 starts out of Jota before he either gets injured or he gets rotated.
Yeah.
But happy to hold him, and if he has a run of fitness and we get half a dozen games out of him, that's great. That's absolutely fantastic. So he's been the pick so far for our teams, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that Palmer, on the other hand, thought he played quite wide. I think we touched on last week. Maresca maybe not playing Palmer and is in the position he did so well in last year. I think he came inside later on in the game, but I think at the moment, watch now, he'll probably go and score a goals on the weekend, right? But from what I saw last weekend, I know it's Man City and it's a bit of a one-off game. They may have set a bit differently from what they would, but Chelsea as a whole and Palmer just don't look. He doesn't look the value. He doesn't look the pick at 10.5 or the 10 million range at the moment, does he? So we could probably leave him a bit.
Not at the moment. I mean, if the chat, I've not got my eye on the lineup for tonight. So if the chat for the leaks the Chelsea lineup during this program, then please publish it, because it'll be really interesting stuff to comment on, because I have no idea who's going to play tonight in the the Conference League. Chelsea, I wouldn't know. No, if Nkunku starts that game, then all of a sudden we might have to consider that he might not start at the weekend. So that's significant. But does he play? Does he think I need to give these guys more minutes? I need to give Palmer more minutes. He's got so many players to pick from. Does he bring in some of the fringe players for this game? The ostracized 12 or
the outcasts,
the outcasts. Yeah, exactly. People like Sterling and stuff like that.
The ones he doesn't care about.
Will they even play? Will they even get out on the pitch? Who knows? I mean, it's a bit of a mess. I think it's a mess, and let's see. But at least we're going to get a clue with this Conference League lineup.
Baseless 33 in the chat. Hoping he's right. He says Palmer on the bench and Nkunku start. I don't know if that's fact or whether he's guessing. But Baseless just said Palmer on the bench and Nkunku starts, which is interesting. Which is probably not good news for Nkunku owners.
No,
I would guess.
I don't think so.
If that's right, I'd say it's just a comment. Hopefully he's right.
A comment.
Just quickly looking at the expected goals conceded on the weekend, Ipswich were the highest, which is obviously great for Haaland. Owners looking good. Fulham were quite high as well, 2.5. United, they had chance after chance. That Garnacho miss at the end as well wasn't great, was it? Bruno Fernandes, owners, I was trying to find a way to squeeze him in, and I couldn't, and I'm kind of glad I couldn't in the end. But my goodness, you were unlucky. Those positions he got in. Even the shots weren't that bad, I think the keeper actually made a couple of really good saves against him, especially the first 2. So if they'd have gone through his legs or gone slightly to the side of him, we'd be saying, Bruno, what a pick, brilliant, must have. I wonder if Xerxes might start next week. I don't know.
I think he probably will. I mean, I think you'll see Bruno drop back into a 10 or an 8 or something, and Xerxes will come. I don't think that makes Bruno any worse a pick, but I think Xerxes will get a start off that goal.
We've got the lineups. Rich, thank you so much for everything in the chat. This is off FPL Freddy. He says Chelsea 11 to face Servette, Joe Jensen, Disasi, Tosin, Badiashile, and Vega. So that is very much a second choice back 5 based on the weekend. Dewsbury Hall, Casado, and Nkunku, Neto, Gui, and Mudryk.
Wow.
So it's a bit of a mixture there. Casado started on the weekend and Nkunku started on the weekend. I think the rest is very much a second 11. So interesting that he's there. And Bobby says if Nkunku plays 60 minutes, I'll be selling him. So we will see. Interesting. Like you say, it's hard to.
I might bench him. I might play Rodgers against Arsenal instead. I mean, that's my initial thought. Is I've got a decent 5th mid, and I think I might start him. He's at home, so yeah, that's not good news, fantasy managers. And Nkunku playing tonight. So let's see. Well, if he scores a hat trick, he'll be all right, won't he? So let's see. Maybe he just needs some goals.
Looking ahead, then, Rich, we've got the fixture ticker up now, just for the next 4 game weeks. Fulham top the ticker. They've got 3 home games in the next 4. The next 3, home to Leicester, away to Ipswich, home to West Ham, spanking fixtures. Really, like, thought Muniz didn't really get a lot of service last week. He had that half chance, that sort of chest up overhead kick. Smith Rowe didn't really have much of a sniff. Obviously went off early, but I think holding both of those is really nice for these next 3. Happy to hold those. Southampton as well, 3 at home in the next 4. Pretty good fixtures as well. So, I think if you're holding any of their players, looks good. Palace as well. I say Eze looks so dangerous. Really good fixtures. Nice to hold him as well. And Liverpool, 3 of the next 4 at home, which is quite scary if you don't own Salah. But there is a fixture swing. I was looking at Big Man Bakar's thread. Obviously, Bakar was on a couple of weeks ago. He'll be on, later on in the season. His thread around, that Saka to Salah might be quite a popular swap in game week 4 when Arsenal go Spurs away, Man City away, and Liverpool go Forest home and Bournemouth home. So that might be an interesting swap there.
I think I prefer Haaland to Watkins, and Kunku to Salah, to be honest, as a two move.
Interesting.
I think that's affordable.
Yeah.
You need 6 mil to do it. Yeah. So I don't fancy selling Saka, but yeah, certainly the move to Salah is a popular one that's being put in a few weeks from now. But the obvious thing from that list there is that there are now about half a dozen decent sides with 3 at home in the next
absolutely
4.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, a lot of us set up our teams in this way to feature a lot of players from those teams. So I think I've got a couple of Fulham, got a couple of Palace, got a couple of Liverpool, and a Villa so far. So, it's nice to have sort of 7 or 8 players from those teams that have got 3 home games in the next 4. And I really do think that, we often in FPL, we downplay the home game, but it's you'll find the home team does well more often than not.
Absolutely.
Especially for the mid-table teams. Teams like Palace, teams like Brentford, teams like Fulham. They are homers. They'll get most of their good wins at home and struggle away a bit. So this is a significant thing.
Talking about kind of free transfers and wildcard, Rich, like, it's easy to say after a solid week, if things go belly up this week and Salah bangs in a 15-pointer and Haaland blanks, things may not be looking as rosy. But in terms of your thinking for wildcards at the moment, it feels like we can say, I think we're probably both set on saving this week if we can, unless we get some kind of last gasp news. Maybe look at using transfer 2 in game week 3, but wildcard at the moment is not in my mind. Is it in yours at all over the next kind of game week 3 and 4?
Not really. No. I think I really want to try and get 3 free transfers next week, because I just want to see what that feels like.
It would be
to go
really
into the international break with 3 free transfers, and that's like, we used to call 2 transfers and a hit a mini wild card. What's it going to feel like when you've got three transfers and a hit? That's going to feel like you can do a lot of change. If people are wild carding during the break, yes, they might get some team value increase. But I think maybe for me, I think I'm taking a holiday at that time as well. So I think I'm going to be looking at game week 6 as the earliest that I might wildcard. But I'm still pretty open-minded. If things are going well and I've got a bank of 5 transfers, I won't wildcard till I need to.
Yes, as well. If there's, in terms of game week 4 and 5 onward, we mentioned the kind of Saka to Salah potential move there. If you can go into game week 4 with 3 transfers and you can get that work done and a little bit more surgery in your team for free, which you'll no doubt you'll be able to do with 3 transfers, you're looking really good for the next 3 weeks, probably 4 and 5 definitely, because you've got those home games, and 6, and then it's a potential end to have a look after that in there. So I just can't see me. It's easy to say now, watching our Rich, I'll be wildcarding next week, but at the moment,
I know. But the thing is, you've got to. There's something about FPL, and every manager thinks that you just don't think you're going to get injuries. It's probably like, when you go for a run or a bike ride yourself, you don't think you're going to get an injury, but you do. You get injuries, and so you've got to be lucky with not getting injuries or not getting rotated or dropped, like the Quanta situation, or the Barco loan, or the Porro, injury that wasn't, or whatever. You've got to actually skate through these periods and come out. But if you can get to the international break without any injured players and most of your squad are playing, then not making luxury transfers is really valuable, because you could just keep on building up that transfer bank. And we're going to see, I think it was one of the questions from the ultras was, what do we think about taking hits this season? And to me, it seems like hits are now going to be more expensive, because you're up against other managers who are building up these war chests of transfers, and so if you're taking a -4 when others have got 3 or 4 free transfers to spend, that makes that -4 more expensive in my thoughts. So I just think hits really should need to be avoided. Look, if you're unlucky, sort the problem, but if you can avoid it, and if you can ever roll, then roll.
I think so.
It's the way it seems.
One thing I took from Jonas last week, he obviously gave us lots of advice. It was absolutely fantastic, everyone. If you haven't watched that episode, encourage anyone to just watch it, just to listen to Jonas speak around, how he won FPL and how he set his team up, what his factors are when setting his team up. But one of them for me, which I took on board and I made a conscious effort to, was get there was 2, get 90-minute sort of men and no kind of injury, or risky sort of players. And going from 1 into 2, even if Porro was injured this week, and I've got Barco, right? He probably was the one where I probably thought he'd be all right. But it's helped me massively. Normally by now, Rich, I'd be contemplating a hit. I think the way I pick players.
If you're talking about getting ahead of the curve again, wouldn't you?
Ahead of the curve. Whereas now, feeling really, really content, quite even. I would even say smug. But I never get to do that, Rich. So I'll take it.
Yeah, done, mate. Good adjustment.
You've itchy trigger. You sent
itchy
me
trigger.
You sent me a few players to have a bit of a chat through. What do you think?
Yeah. Despite my advice to most people on rolling when you can, not everybody is blessed with a full bench. People may have set up with quite weak benches and maybe gone a couple of 4.0s, made a couple of guesses on who might start. We saw quite a few people who were expected to start who didn't last week. So Barco being the most popular, so that's why he's on there. And since we brainstormed this little graphic, it's been confirmed. I think his loan to
gone.
To Valencia. He's actually on. He's flown out already.
I can't remember. Seville or Valencia.
Seville. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So he's out. So he's not going to play. He's not going to kick a ball. And there are something like 29% of us have him in our teams or something. So yeah. So Barco, you've got there as a 4.0. Now, if you are unlucky and you also had Quansah in your team, then clearly the tactics that Arne Slot implemented at halftime on the Saturday at lunchtime are that it's highly likely that Canate will retain the start this weekend, but we don't know that.
No, of course.
And unfortunately for those who owned him, there was a price drop that did happen midweek, probably forced by just the sort of the people jumping on a kind of sell bandwagon and people making early moves. So he has fallen now to 4.4 million. And so if you haven't got $500,000 in the bank or any money in the bank, there's really not many places you can go with selling Quansah unless you made that move early in the week. So I would say, just if you still got him in your team, just hold him. And wouldn't it be, wouldn't you have the last laugh if he starts at the weekend? I mean, it's not beyond the realms, is it, that he retains a start against Brentford? Do you think he'll start?
I don't know. I would guess so, but even if he didn't, it's not likely. I don't think it's likely he will come on either. So as long as you've got a play-in other player, I think rolling, because if you roll your transfer, it means you can make up the money elsewhere to change to Quansah, who someone you actually want as well, because probably being forced in a little into a move this year. I do think Robinson is probably the pick of the 4.5 based on what we saw last week and based on the fixtures, based on the on the fact that they've strengthened their defence and midfield this morning as well. I think he is the pick. So Quansah to Robinson, I think, is very sensible. I think if you've already got Robinson, can't really think of anyone else I'd be kind of dash into really. So if you save your transfer, you can either get points off Quans. If you don't get points off Quans, you could get points off someone else. And next week, just have a lot more information, double the information we've already got to be able to make a call. So
exactly,
I just leave it personally.
So we've talked about Nkunku already. Again, good that he's in the front there because it's ideally you really want him to be benched because the manager's trying to save him, but maybe the manager's trying to give him more minutes. And if he gets taken off early enough tonight, then we'll see. But Nkunku definitely is at a price point as well where you can do something with it. Yeah. You can go anywhere really from 6.5. As I just said earlier, you can sell Haaland to Watkins, get 6 million, and go Nkunku to Salah next week. That is tempting if he becomes a problem and he doesn't start against Wolves or Chelsea still look really ineffective. So Nkunku is probably the one I'm most likely to sell in my own team the most. Now, Jacob Murphy, I'm not sure on his injury status, but again, owners are a bit unlucky. Came off after 25 odd minutes, didn't he, again for Newcastle with a knock. I'm not sure on his status, but he is in that popular 5.5
I thought it was more.
bracket.
I thought it was more because of the red card effect. If I'm honest, right. I might be wrong, but I thought because Shah got sent off, they brought on a defender.
There was a tactical adjustment. That might have been the case. I thought he got a knock, but I'm not completely sure. I didn't see the game. But now obviously Newcastle's fixtures aren't great, and there are other shiny toys. So he was really a pick for that first game and his pre-season form. And I think you've cleared Pedro Porro, haven't you? This afternoon,
he was in training. So hopefully he's fit because
well that's great because he's obviously scoring. I think he was the only defender who scored last week and a nice goal too. So I'm not really. He's not in my team for the clean sheets, as most Tottenham fans will tell you that they're not going to get many clean sheets. But he has got great attacking potential, so hopefully we can hold him for a while. And a great fixture this weekend, so hopefully some points there. So yeah, I think guys, if you're thinking about rolling, then roll. If you have to play one of your 4.5 million second bench players like Konza or maybe Lewis Hall, who you might have been thinking about benching, just play the player who's going to play and roll your transfer because you'll have so much more flex next week.
Agree. And for those maybe who are looking for a player, for those who are looking for a transfer, there were some head turners on the weekend. Rich, I called out Kai Havertz. I think I called him out last week as someone I'm really kind of. If I'd have gone Haaland-less, Havertz, without a doubt, would have been my third forward. Playing as a number 9 for Arsenal, really found his feet at the end of last season. You can see he's a confidence player. Confidence is sky high. Lucky with the assist, but a really good goal. He looked really good, don't he?
He does, and I think you're going to see from game week 6. I think Arsenal's next fixtures are tough. I think they've got they've got the Brighton at home next week. But I think they play Villa away, Tottenham away, City away, don't they?
Yeah,
or maybe it's not in that order. Yeah, Villa away, Brighton at home, City away, Tottenham away, or something. So they've got a really tough run. So their defenders probably aren't worth investing in unless you've already got one, in which case it's a hold. But if you want a third player, then I think Havertz is the standout. I think he's better than Odegaard as an option, and maybe a nice move up from Solanke or down from Isak, whichever way you want to go. 8 mil, I think he is, possibly likely to rise before the end of the week, but certainly I think he's going to keep Jesus out of the side for a while.
I think so. Jota we've already spoken about. And Mbeumo, obviously Tony didn't start, which surprised a few, and Mbeumo delivered again, as he does season on season. He's unbelievable, and a really good goal to boot as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to get pens if Tony moves on. Another week of information would be helpful in confirming that. But I've got 500,000 in the bank, and again, the Nkunku to Mbeumo move looks tempting.
Yeah.
Perhaps not for this week with the away trip to Liverpool, but when they've got another home game next week, I think think I might be tempted. Although their fixtures aren't great, I just think again you're getting another penalty taking talisman type player who's strong in home games, and for me, I think that's an upgrade on Nkunku with all the doubts we've got. So really like Burmo as an option.
I think it's been really popular wild cards game week 6. They've got 3 home games in 4. So they go West Ham at home, Wolves at home, United away, Ipswich at home, Fulham away, Bournemouth at home, Everton away, Leicester at home. That's the 8 fixtures from game week 6 onwards, which is absolutely spanking. And Berg, the player they're signing from Liverpool as well, the 4 million. I can see Mbeumo and Berg being in practically every wildcard team from game week 6 onwards. So it's going to be interesting there. We touched on Bruno as well. Obviously, I think he put up over 1 XG. And Robinson, I mentioned in the same game. I benched Robinson, but I kept an eye on him. He was getting sort of rave reviews last year. 6 tackles, I think he had. He was in the bonus as well. If they hadn't conceded, he'd been on for 2 bonus. So I think Robinson is looking a really good pick as well moving forward.
I agree. I know he's in my team. I bought him in for the run from game week 2. I benched him for the United game. Didn't expect them to not concede, but I think he was on for 3 bonus or 2 bonus before the United goal. Yeah. And of course, all that evaporates, doesn't it? When the team concedes, but all the stats look good for this run, and he's definitely if I was selling Quansah or Barco and I had the money, I'd be moving to Robinson this week, and I think he is the most popular transfer in, I think, of the defenders. So yeah, excellent. Bruno's going to score goals. I mean, I think he's a good pick, but it's just I'm just still a little bit unconvinced on United after one game, not having a real sort of 20 goal plus striker established there, and I'm just not quite sure they're in that top bracket yet for performances that mean I'll go for Bruno. Certainly not with free transfers, but I think he's going to get some points for his owners. He's promised, hasn't he? He came out and commented and said something like, "I'm sorry, fantasy managers. I'll trust me. I'll sort you out," or something like that. I'll make. I think
we're going to hold now for next. I think non-Bruno owners have got away with it because obviously, definitely expecting to get some points in the week. They're away to Brighton now, which judging how Brighton played, that's going to be a really tough game for Bruno. And then they're home to Liverpool in game week 3 as well. So probably leave him alone for a little bit. He's definitely not on the urgent list, is he? But some good picks there, some good takeaways from the weekend. Looking at predicted points for the next 4 game weeks. Again, for those who maybe are looking at which players to bring in, Salah top just by the 0.1, 30.8 points. Haaland's right up there as well, 30.7. So Haaland and Salah just dominate everything, as we thought they would. And I know we've mentioned it, but fair play to FPL for pricing them the way they have. They've really created a massive divide, almost right down the middle, a divide of Salah and Haaland owners. Very few have got both. Eze is third up there, 7 million pick, excellent. 27 points. The next few games for Palace are superb. Home to West Ham, away to Chelsea, home to Leicester, home to United, away to Everton. They are nice fixtures, and don't have Eze could do some damage over these next few. It's incredibly like last week. He had the most shots in the Premier League last week. Palmer is 4th. Obviously, data's based a lot on last year, so you have to put your own sort of layer of discretion on it. I didn't see enough from Palmer. Saka and Isak. De Bruyne, I think, is one who is. I think De Bruyne is going under the radar. I put him on the thumbnail this week because we just don't mention him, but home to Ipswich this week. De Bruyne, he was there or thereabouts last week. He's likely to start this week. 9.5 million. He's right up there as well. And Foden should be back as well. Son, 22 points. Jota, 20 when we mentioned Jota. Watkins, 21. His fixtures really turn next week. I can imagine Watkins being on the thumbnail next week and be very popular, especially if he scores against Arsenal this week. And then Trent, Bruno, Havertz, Robertson, Muniz, etc. So, anything catch your eye? I think
Ollie just. Sorry, I think Watkins just needs he didn't have a pre-season, did he? I know he didn't play much for England in the Euros, but he looked a little bit leggy last week against West Ham. I just think he needs a couple of games. Yep. you'll probably see him score against Arsenal, even Arsenal at the weekend. So I think Watkins makes a really good pick. And if you look at Villa's run of fixtures from game week 3 onwards, it's sensational. So really, really nice fixtures. I'm really glad I've got Morgan Rogers. Actually, he looks really good. So that might mean I can,
swerve Watkins.
Cover Villa, but I could concentrate a little bit more on other moves, perhaps. But yeah, well, really like Watkins. I'm quite surprised that maybe you just need to, look at Diogo Jota's minutes. Maybe they haven't been nudged up quite enough yet after one game. And I think if he establishes himself as the first choice striker, then those expected points ought to be a bit higher for me. I think he'd probably be higher up than that. So he looks like he'll overperform that, looking at those numbers. I certainly think it's a good week to buy into City. Their run now for between game week 2 and 7 is very strong. And anywhere around the team, Lewis, Guardiola, Foden, De Bruyne, look good options, really good options. So yeah, I think there's a lot out there. I'm a little bit cool on Palmer. I'm a little bit cool on Chelsea, as you may have picked up, but he'll still come good. He'll still be all right. I just not sure he'll get the volume of penalties that Chelsea got last season. I mean, he got an insane amount of penalties, and I don't think he'll get them. But yeah, a few people lower down that list. Havertz's numbers look a bit low. I think Havertz was probably underbid on that
based
chart.
on fixtures as well. There are certain teams over the next, maybe not this week or next week, but over the next 4 weeks in total, their fixture sort of tail off. Arsenal and Spurs are two of those definitely. Just checked on Jota's minutes. We've gone down to 72 because he does get brought. Okay. Even though he starts, he gets brought off. So, but yeah, some interesting stuff there. And this week, Rich, it's probably fair to say, we mentioned earlier, it's all about Erling Haaland this week. And say we're going all the way from non-owners through to a lot of owners triple captain in. So I suppose first, Rich, if you're a non-owner, I'm assuming the advice is stick to the plan. You knew the risk. You've probably done well. If you went against Haaland in game week 1, you've probably had a good week. You've definitely gone for Salah, and others as well. Hold your nerve, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Salah's a perfectly good captain. I mean, you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank if Haaland blanks and Salah gets a brace, let's say, against Brentford. The variance there will be huge on non-ownership. It's just a FOMO thing. Sometimes this is kind of reminding me a little bit. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, there was this massive game for Tottenham. They were playing Cardiff. Do you remember? I think it was when Tottenham were playing at Wembley, but while the stadium was being built, and everyone jumped on Harry Kane. Do you remember for that Cardiff fixture? And he didn't do anything.
And Salah scored a hat-trick on the same weekend away to Bournemouth, I want to say.
It's just ringing in my ears that this is going to happen again. And, you might get a lot of triple captains played this week and everyone's lumping on, and it turns out to be a disappointing. I mean, Ipswich weren't bad for 60, 70 minutes last week. I'm not sure it's going to be the turkey shoot that we think it's going to be. But, certainly if you've got him, you captain him. You hope that there's not going to be big variance swimming back the other way. And if you are a non-Haaland owner, you've got to try and get through the game week. I think it's great. But as you say, the fact that they're priced in a certain way, and that if you've got both of them, you've had a very good game week 1. But now you've got a lot weaker players, in your team because of owning them both. So whichever of the 3 camps you're in, you can't have them all, and therefore the game is good because of it, more than good, and it's exciting. So let's just carry on being nice to each other, even though we may not win every week.
Are you tempted by the triple captain, Rich? I can really understand those.
I've been asked about this. I've been asked about this a lot. I know that there aren't going to be as many double game weeks this season, and that if you look at Ben Krellin's information, there could only be 2 double game weeks. In which case, when do you use your free hit? When do you use your bench boost? When do you use et cetera, et cetera? But actually, there's always the odd double game week. There always can be a postponed fixture due to weather, due to policing, due to force majeure, whatever it might be. There can be a postponed game, and a double game week can arise. I'd be surprised if there wasn't at least 1 or 2 extra doubles, that small doubles that arise during the rest of the season. So I always like to think, 2 bites at the cherry. The triple captain, it's the weakest of the chips. It's really just an extra multiple on a single player that you've got to get lucky with. And just 1 out of 380 fixtures is not the only easy fixture you're going to come across all season. It's fine if you want to go for it, if you want to play it and catch up or get further in front or whatever. That's absolutely fine. I won't be playing it. I'm going to wait for a double game week to play it. That's just my view.
I'm really torn, and because Foden will likely be backed. I thought Doku looked electric. De Bruyne will be playing. They're almost back to full strength, apart from Rodri. I think they're reasonably back to full strength. I thought they played really well against Chelsea. I think the Ipswich manager has said, they're not going to sit back and they're going to go for it. They played man for man against Liverpool at home, which again worked for 60-70 minutes, but Liverpool could have scored. I know they scored 3, was it? 2? I know they scored 3 or 2. I can't remember the score now. I did 2 or 3, but they could have scored a lot more as well. And I'm tempted. I am. But then on the same note, I'm sick to death of being behind on chips throughout the season as well. It's really kind of, I've done it the last 2 or 3 seasons where I've used mine a little bit early, and then people have always got them on me, and it's always in the back of my mind that I'm level with so and so, but they've got a triple captain chip or kind of whatever it is. So I'm not really not sure.
But you've got another point here is that the promoted teams all did okay last week. They've had a good preseason. The players aren't tired. They're full of enthusiasm right now, and they're going for it. Right. As we go through the season, the whipping boys will emerge. In the Premier League, there will be teams that are really struggling. A manager will get sacked. They'll have teams decimated with injuries. All of these different circumstances that we don't know about yet will emerge, and then you'll suddenly get a matchup whereby the team that's top of the league and absolutely flying will play the team that's really in trouble. And if you're going to play a single game week triple captain, that will be the week to play it, when they're just it's going to be like a Southampton 9-0 defeat or something like that. That's when you want to try and catch it. So I just think, we've only had 1 week worth of information, and really all this is a decent fixture for Manchester City, and they will have at least another 20 other decent fixtures during the season. So
I think it's more.
I
think it's more than decent. I think that Haaland has said himself this week, I've never felt so good. They've got basically a fully fit team, and also this is one of the few weeks in the whole season actually where Man City are not going to have a midweek match either, to pull him off early for. I mean, he's got his 2 goals for half time, get him off, save him for Champions League or save him for whatever else. They haven't got a game midweek, and it's going to be the only one of the few weeks all season, and they're not going to have one. He may just let him run wild.
Yeah, I'm seeing in the chat. I think rather than use a triple captain chip, I'd probably be more inclined to use a transfer and get Foden in. So get another City player, do Porro to Gvardiol, or do Saka to Foden, or Son to Foden. Someone in here, Stringer Bell, said, make that move. Get yourself that extra player who's going to get the assists, going to get goals himself. And if you're expecting a thrashing, you can save your triple captain chip and just use a transfer for free and get an extra City player. Bernardo Silva for Nkunku, 6.5 for 6.5. How about that? There's things you can do even if you haven't got any cash. So that's the way I'd rather go, and just get a difference on the opposition, but save the chip, man. So you don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know.
Save it.
Empty. The stars are aligned.
All right, we'll play it. Give us something to talk about next week. Anyway, I'm saving my 3rd transfer.
There's me half an hour ago going, I'm really content with my team, just going to play it nice and cool. And I'm like, I've got to use all my chips as quickly as I can.
I've got
Let's see. Just a quick look at the stats ahead of game week 2, looking at the projected goals and clean sheets. Liverpool are actually highest in our stats. They're predicted to score over 3 goals, which is pretty insane. Man City close to 3 goals, and Chelsea close to 3 away to Wolves as well. Quite surprisingly there, but they're the
something
3
wrong
teams.
with the stats there.
Something wrong with the stats and Nkunku. No, Wolves have been pretty pretty dire, haven't they? And clean sheet wise, Liverpool, Man City, and Spurs. Spurs actually home to Everton, who are pretty dire up front, aren't they? So, Salah, Trent, Gvardiol, Haaland owners, rejoice if you've got 3 or 4 of them, because you're looking good. And then Spurs as well is predicted to score 2.5 goals and 40% clean sheet.
Yeah, there's some thrashings on the agenda this weekend, aren't there? Even for the mid-table teams. Fulham Leicester looks a good game. Perhaps not drawing a lot of attention. I think there's goals in that. Palace West Ham. Palace at home. That was quite an open game. West Ham played against Villa last week. I think that could be a 2-2 or a 3-2 in there. There's going to be some, and even the first game, Brighton. What a Brighton 4-0 winners at Everton. What are they going to do to Man U? Don't know. This is really, really exciting open football, I think, this week.
I agree. It's going to be good. Yeah, but Liverpool predicted 3.5 goals against Brentford. I've got Salah. Thank goodness for Jota. And we're on about triple captain in Haaland. I don't know. We shall see. Best captain this week. We're not going to dwell on this one. Haaland 70% of the vote on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Also top of the charts on predicted points for game week 2 alone. I think it's probably fair to say whether you own Haaland or not, you would say he's the best captain this week. Salah probably second best. Who do you be vicing, Rich? That's more interesting. I'm a bit stuck on who to vice actually.
I think I've got it on Eze at the
I think I have as well.
West Ham.
I think I have as well.
I think so. I think just I'm not sure what Villa and Arsenal could be quite close. Yeah. I think Villa won that fixture last year 1-0. I think it was one of Arsenal's few defeats, and I don't know how well they're going to go. I mean, I'd still play my Arsenal defenders in that game, but I'm not sure they'll really tonk them. I think if Arsenal scrape a win, that's a really good result there. So I just don't think Saka's a decent vice. So Jota or Eze for me. Jota's a perfectly good vice, I think, this weekend. But I'd rather have someone who's on pens, I think.
A 90-minute man as well, if he's fit.
Yeah.
Yep, good stuff. Yeah. Ala Turner in the chat has just said he's got all 5 of the itchy trigger players.
I saw that earlier. I mean, that's quite an achievement to own all 5 of the itchy triggers. Yeah, exactly.
FPL Lard.
Perhaps if he manages to hold on to a transfer, he's doing very well. So excellent willpower.
FPL Lard says Salah captain for me again. Yeah, it's hard to argue.
Got to take it on. Got to take it on.
Superb. Definitely. And say it. It could go. It could go that way, couldn't it? Who's to say it not? Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Fergie's a punt for game week 2. Picked a player out this week. I think could have an excellent week this week. He's only 4.4.
It's not Kulusevski again, is it?
No, I should have updated that. I had him before Solanke signed. So in all fairness, last week if I would have changed, I would have gone to Luis Diaz, who I don't think actually returned either, did he? So, but for this week, 4.4% owned. I think he could run riot this weekend. I think if you're wild card in game week 3, I think 1 week punt, you just won't get better than this person. I don't think so. See if you can guess in the chat, but just hold it off a minute or 2 more. He's playing for. He's basically guaranteed of running a team that when he plays, he does well. Home to Ipswich.
Foden?
Nope.
Phil Foden?
I don't think he's I'm not classing him as a differential.
Bernardo Silva?
Nearly. Jeremy Doku.
I
thought looked lightning again. Every time he plays, he looks lightning, and I really, really like him. And I think he's going to have a big week this week. And I think over the next, not sure obviously how long he's going to stay in the team, but they're home to Ipswich, away to West Ham, home to Brentford. I really, really like those 3. Obviously, a lot depends on the City players coming back, whether Grealish is fit and stuff. I saw he was a photo of him and Grealish and his dog in the week. I don't know. You'd expected him to be a bit more, come on, I'm ready for the weekend or whatever else, but he was just having a little selfie with his dog. But Doku, for me, I think is going to have a good week this week. So I'm pretty confident.
He's another one. He's 6'5", isn't he, Doku?
I think he is, yeah.
I mean, I'm tempted to go and Kunku to Doku. I mean, that's a nice transfer.
That is an exciting transfer.
isn't
That
it?
is an
You know,
exciting
if you're talking up the the humbling as much as you are, and you're thinking about playing triple captain on Kunku to Doku, get
Wow.
it
That would
sorted
be a
out.
move, mate. 4.4% owned.
Certainly. Very good.
Competition time for our YouTube watchers. This season, our weekly prize had a big upgrade with a chance to win some sensational award-winning curry pies, courtesy of Mukherjee's Asian Pie and Catering Company. Look at those on screen. They look absolutely unreal. We did have a winner from Game Week 1. Last week's top scorer was Mo Salah, unsurprisingly. So Tom Moriarty. We did have a few people who said, so we did a random draw, Tom Moriarty. So Tom, if you do want to drop me a DM on Twitter or X at FFH_Fergi, you have won yourself a box. I think it's either 5 or 6 of these pies. They're absolutely sensational. And for this week's competition, we'll be running again the same prize of a box of these amazing curry pies. Simply guess who's going to be the top scoring FPL player for Game Week 2. And the pies include a choice of their famous Mother Cluckers, Creme de la Hen, the Bulldozer, and so many more. Click the link in the description below, and you can also get 10% off your first order if you just fancy having a look yourself. Watching the football with a Mukherjee's curry pie is a match made in heaven. I urge you to give them a go. So don't forget to comment. It will be the top goal scorer in FPL. Sorry, the top point scorer in FPL this week for a chance to win a box for yourself for absolutely free. The competition is restricted to the UK for shipping purposes. Just before we carry on, before we show our teams for this week, don't forget you can get your own FPL team rated now for free using the top link in the description below. Let us know your ratings in the comments if you haven't already. And also, your AI recommended transfers are now up every single week. So the AI team has got 91 points in Game Week 1. Its recommended transfer for himself this week, I believe, is to save this week. But you can get your own every single week. Fantasy Football Hub. You also get access to Opta stats, points predictions, expert team reveals, dedicated WhatsApp groups, and so much more. And if you sign up to one of our paid services, we have 50% off all annual packages. And we're so confident that you will win your mini league. If you don't, we will give you your money back at the end. Terms and conditions apply. Rich, let's have a look at your team for Game Week 2. Looking good.
Yeah, please. I'm pleased with the Porro news that you shared with me earlier. So Porro will play against Everton. I obviously have Trent at home to Brentford, and Robinson, who I brought in for Game Week 1, makes his debut for my side. Henderson has a nice home game against West Ham. So nice games for my defence. All at home, all nice games, and confident of some more returns there. I think there were 6 clean sheets last week, which was up on 4 from last season's first week. So clean sheets look like back on the agenda, but all of these guys have great opportunity for attack and return. So really pleased with the defence. I've got Hall there as cover away to Bournemouth if there's any issues. Midfield, I've got Eze home to who is
West Ham.
They're playing West Ham. Yeah, Eze home to West Ham. Saka plays away at Villa. Jota at home to Brentford. And at the moment, I've started Nkunku, but I am very tempted to drop him to the bench because he may make a cameo and play Morgan Rogers at home to Arsenal instead. And I'm not afraid to play him at all. Looked really good last week against West Ham. I've just lost all confidence in Nkunku, even if he plays really well tonight. I don't know why. I that's the thing I got suckered into last week, was playing Nkunku as a percentage pick, and I'm disappointed in myself for that. And then up front, Muniz has a really nice game at home to Leicester. Isak away at Bournemouth could still get something, and I've got Haaland in place for the returns. And I think he's low enough owned that we should still, enjoy as captain, as a decent rank rise out of him if he does well. So happy to play. I won't triple captain. I'll hold on to the chip, but if you want to play it, then it's fine. I just won't be.
I think if you think Nkunku starts, I'd be tempted to play him. I think it all depends if you think he starts or not. Obviously, he's playing in a very much second string team this evening, starting a second string team. I don't know, you can read into that. Everyone can make their own narratives on what that means. But if you think he starts, I think you've got to play him, Rich. But if you don't think he starts, obviously,
I don't know. I think it depends on his performance and how many minutes he gets tonight. I don't really know what I want here. If he gets 90 minutes, I'll play Rogers. I just don't think he'll start. Yeah. I think But that's just the way I'm interpreting it. But I mean, I like the fact that for no transfers, or what's the team rating on there in my team, like 94% or something. So it's pretty good for no transfer team. I think it's just a no-brainer to roll the transfer now. Porro is fit, and so very, very happy to be able to do that and move forward. Yeah.
Your recommended transfer this week is obviously based on Porro being flagged. He was flagged midweek, but obviously, again, layer of discretion on top of it. We know he's not now. It was Porro to Robertson with the alternative being Bank, but now obviously that Porro is fit. Porro looks a fabulous hold for this week. Obviously, Spurs fixtures do toughen up. I think it's next week onwards they do toughen up, which is what he's looking into. But I'll bank. But obviously, you'll be banking this week, Rich. Don't forget, you can get your own AI recommended transfers at the top link below. Fantasy Football Hub. My team very, very similar, Rich. We mentioned earlier the only difference actually looking at it is I've got Gordon instead of Nkunku, so I'm probably going to play Gordon. Not the best fixture. Disappointed. He came off. I think he played 70 odd minutes, so I thoroughly expect him to start again. Happy to play him. I've also got Howard Bellis in place if Porro doesn't make it, which, home to Forest, I think, is not a bad fixture to have in there. I've also got Rodgers on the bench. Probably going to leave him on the bench this week, but away to Leicester next week looks like a really exciting fixture there. So, again, it could be a save next week, but you say that, like, just good point potential all over the pitch, isn't it? Looking at the team, it's not very often. Look at my team, I think, wow, just everywhere I look, there's point potential, so it's really nice. Excited to hold Muniz and Robertson this week, same as you with that fixture, and next week away to Ipswich as well, and West Ham the week after. Like, lovely stuff.
All good. Well, that's why we got them in, isn't it? Because of this nice run. They're just those kind of glue picks that you can give them a good start, high potential. I mean, they're not going to return like a Haaland or a Salah. They're not priced as such, but hopefully we'll get goals from them, assists, and some bonus. So yeah, absolutely. It's all about for me, it's all about staying with the peloton. We've got ourselves into the peloton, Fergie, and I'm just happy to stay there for the first few weeks and get to that international break and not be 5 millionth, but it could all go wrong from here.
Haaland, blank, Salah, brace.
Yeah,
that's going to work.
I think we're good. I think we're good with it. It's a bit template, but we're good to run with it.
My recommended transfer for this week tells me to bank my transfer. My alternative was Porro again. He's flagged. He's still flagged for Ruben Dias. But I will definitely be banking unless we get any news, over the next day or so that Porro, even Porro, I'll just play Howard Bellis. I think save the transfer. But yeah, happy to hold on for another week. So very, very similar, Rich. We did say, didn't we, the kind of advent of these the ability to save multiple transfers is going to make a lot of content. We're going to save this week. We're going to save this week, but still really good to chat it all through, and reach our conclusions. That is it from us for this week. We hope you've enjoyed, and thanks so much to everyone who joined us in the chat. Those who are going to watch it back and those listening on the podcast version, your support, as usual, is very, very much appreciated. Rich, thank you so much, as usual. Where can people get hold of you?
I'm at Rich Clarke FPL on X.
And my handle on Twitter is at FFH_Fergi. So this podcast and video will be on the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel with the podcast versions available on all major podcast platforms. I would ask, if you don't subscribe to us, we'd really appreciate it if you did. We're on 99,000 followers.
Get us to 100. You'll get one of those. You'll get one of those plaques, won't you? We can put it behind us. Yeah, come on, get us to 100k, guys. Give us a subscribe.
Incredible if we could get to 100,000 in the next couple of weeks. We really appreciate your follow. If you don't already, don't forget. We have some incredible content on this channel. Jack does an incredible job as our YouTube lead. With all the experts, Bakar and Abdul and Heisenberg and Holly and Jonas and everyone else on here. So please follow. If you don't, we'll be much appreciated. And also, please press the like button if you haven't already. And the subscribe button is in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And if you enjoyed your podcast listen, please rate the podcast. Give us 5 stars and a comment. Again, we would really appreciate it. We'll be back next week to preview Game Week 3 before the international break, Rich. I can't believe it. We're already international break. But in the meantime, we hope you have a fantastic Game Week 2, and may all your arrows be green. Good night, all.
Bye.